Sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, sweetheart, kindly smash that subscribe button, turn your notification so you are notified each time I upload, and please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all so much, and I am saying massive shout out to every one of you for the love, the support you all shower me here with. I am grateful, and you all are super sweet. So today we'll be talking something very important, and it's about the colonial masters, how they are sucking other people's blood, how there are leeches in other people's country, how they are still stealing till this very moment. Since Africans met them, where are they? They are still in the same spot, running circle, running around. The people that were able to wake up are doing better for themselves, but the ones that refuse to wake up against the Westerners are still suffering it. And then where is this going to? It is what is going on in Congo and in Sudan. I mean, they are really going through it. Children are dying. I learned that over 5 million plus already lives has been lost in Congo, and people are still dying to this very moment. Can I tell you, let me burst your brain, let me burst your bubble. The truth is that Congo is one of the richest countries in the world, but as it stands, they do not have anything. They are actually one of the poorest because they are being sucked away. Their resources, all the things they have, their human resources are being taken away from them from the Western world, leaving them with nothing. They work for the Western, the gold, they mine gold, and some of them are dying from mining the gold because they are not professionals in mining the gold. You can imagine a country that is blessed with lots of gold and other human resources. They fly in, take it away, and leave them. They are dying. They are fighting them. I mean, so many horrible things are going on. Also in Sudan. And what we can do is render our voices. And I actually found out that they have been saying this, but most of them were already were broadcasting it in their language, which I think French, which made it a little bit harder for people to pick up what is going on in Congo and in Sudan. But as it stands, people are already shedding lights to it. But what can I say? Free Congo. Let them be. They deserve to live better lives. People with all these resources. But I am saying African countries, African leaders really have to wake up against the Westerners. Let's get into this video.
It has been brought to my attention that there are 2 other genocides happening right now. To my knowledge, to what I've just seen, I was just, because I'm trying to go through all of my tags. I know so many of you have tagged me in so many videos, and I'm trying to go through them. But I just saw this video talking about the Congo genocide that's happening, where there's been over 6 million victims. And then there's another genocide apparently happening in Sudan. I haven't heard of either one of these. And as much love and just phenomenal humanity that I've seen coming forward in support of Palestine, I know that I haven't heard of the Congo and Sudan genocides because the victims are Black and from Africa. And at this point, I try to remain positive. I try to keep everything lighthearted, but what do I do? What do I do? How do I help everyone? What do I do? What can I do for Congo? What can I do for Sudan? What companies are involved? Like, y'all please tell me, and I will. I'll push it. But these leaders in these countries make me sick. Something people have started to call the silent genocide. Millions of people in Congo are unalived, so other countries, and especially Western countries like France, the UK, or the US, can profit off of their natural resources, specifically coltan, which is a critical mineral used in a lot of technological devices. Western nations have allowed and funded militia groups in Rwanda and Uganda to invade Congo, and especially those coltan reserves. Men, women, and children are being enslaved so they can mine coltan and give it to those Western nations, which can be super dangerous, by the way, because they're not properly trained to do so. They don't have the equipment that is needed to do this safely. It is estimated that almost 50 women an hour are SA'd, and that in total there have been around 6 million victims, half of which have been children. Congolese people being exploited for coltan has been an ongoing issue for years now. And here and there you will see a small article about what is going on, but then it's already dismissed again. Even now the story has only been picked up again because of activists who have been putting in the work to make sure people know about this, not because of Western media outlets. They're definitely not going to talk about it. They're too busy supporting the ethnic cleansing of another group of people they have helped to oppress for over 70 plus years. And this is exactly what I mean, because if you Google it, you will see, small media outlets talking about it here and there, mentioning that it's exploitation, that people are suffering. But there isn't an in-depth expose by a big media outlet. This one is actually funny to me. Why it's hard for Congo's coltan miners to abide by the law? Maybe because a lot of them are enslaved and there is no law protecting them? The only way we can change anything here is if we spread awareness and start talking about this for real. Because that is our only power as normal people, average people, to put pressure on these industries that are, enabling this type of behavior. And that is the only time Western nations will ever care about what they are doing in developing nations, when people are starting to point their fingers at them and it's getting, global traction. These people do not deserve to be overlooked simply because they're not important enough of a country to, Western media. We are all entitled to human rights. People in these types of countries as well, even though Western nations like to ignore that. They deserve their freedom and they deserve their justice. We need to...
I'm going to say something that not a lot of people want to hear. And so here we go. Just like there is no removing feeling from sound logic, there is no removing mental health from politics. There is no removing mental health from our observation of politics. And what I mean by that is that we have to start holding accountable our political leaders for their poor mental health. And that means that when our political leaders have a very narrow set of experiences and they do not seek to understand that the only way that they have ever known to feel seen and heard is the only way that they will value others being seen and heard, and how that is not okay, that is poor mental health. They are projecting simply and singularly their experiences because they are so driven by things like money, like re-election campaigns, like power, control, because somehow, somewhere in their childhood, they never learned to resolve their own emotional issues. And so here we are, having leaders, elected leaders, actively fund and support genocide, saying that we are a nation of human rights, that values human rights, and yet carrying out atrocities the world over. A leader with mental health is supposed to be able to sit and rationally understand both sides of a situation and acknowledge when something is not balanced, and stand for the people who are actually suffering and have been suffering for decades on end, to stand with them, to protect their human rights, to give them back their choice, to give them back their voice. That is what a leader with mental health looks like, because a leader with mental health knows how to sit with their own insecurities, with their own need for power and control, and knows how to manage the difficult thoughts and feelings that come with it so as not to impose it on others. We don't have very many of those leaders, and it is very much time that we start holding our leaders accountable for their poor mental health. There is no removing mental health from politics, ever. And it is time that we start acknowledging it, because there are too many lives on the line. There are too many lives that have been lost.
On top of the genocide and ethnic cleansing happening in Gaza, where there are over 1,000 children slaughtered, and I think over 4,000 innocent civilians killed in general, there's another massacre happening. I have to do my research, but it's happening in the Congo and in Sudan. There's a lot happening in the world right now. I know it's heavy, but it's our responsibility as people who are not going through a genocide, who are not going through a massacre, to do the research and open our eyes. Don't stop posting about Gaza. Do not stop talking about the innocent slaughter of these Palestinians. And do your research on the Congo and Sudan. I know I'm about to do that. Keep your eyes open and don't go back to your regular scheduled programming.
It's literally by design. This capitalistic system that we have here in the US requires us to be mules, to constantly work. And when you're consumed with working and making sure your rent and bills are paid, that's really all you have time to do. But we have to be conscious with that. We have to be conscious with what we spend our attention and time on when we do have the time. We have access to knowledge at our fingertips, so there's really no excuse. But it's very easy. It's very easy for us to get subdued by this system. Extremely easy. But this is one of those things where we have to say, I was asleep, I was late to the party, but now I'm here and I'm ready to work. I'm ready to help.
I'm going to speak about this very quickly and very clearly. I need y'all to do research on what's happening in Congo and Sudan. There is another genocide. Over 6 million victims. And U.S. is giving all their resources to Israel. And I know a lot of things are happening in Palestine. And there's nothing being pushed for Congo and Sudan, and now I hear it's Yemen. Excuse me if I'm not pronouncing some of these countries correctly, but I feel as though these are not being pushed because these are African countries that have to do with Black people, and they're not gonna give us the coverage that we need as long as we do not talk about it. So we need to talk about this.
What is happening in Palestine? What is happening in Sudan and in the Congo? These things are happening with people who have no control over what those in power want.
A lot of attention for the last few weeks has been on Palestine and what Israel has been doing to the Palestinian people, not just in the past 2 weeks, but for the past 75 years. And there's this large awakening that's happening with the Western world, with people who didn't even know who a Palestinian was or even aware of that Israel is a settler colony, how Israel even came to be. And there's been a lot of shift in really building, finally realizing we've been either lied to or just never felt like we had the information to make a sound judgment or pick what side to be on, but now everyone's aware there's a genocide against the Palestinian people that's being perpetrated by the state of Israel, whatever we want to call them, using the Israeli occupation forces to kill thousands and thousands of Palestinians and displace millions. With all of that, the crazy, and it's not even crazy, but just the unbelievable, but yet it is believable part of this is that this isn't the only genocide happening in the world. We need to learn more about, we need to learn and also just be more aware of Congo, Sudan, in Niger. There's a lot of so many people who are being oppressed across the globe that I know it's hard because sometimes we need to just focus on one thing, and that can get our support and attention. But that doesn't mean we have to not keep educating ourselves on what's going on in the world. We do need to speak about Congo. We do need to speak about what's happening in Sudan. We do need to speak about what's happening in Niger, because there are so many people there as well who are being oppressed by either their militaries or just oppressive leadership. And I'm not as aware in terms of that's education I'm going to be doing, but I did want to make sure that as I'm speaking with my audience that we're not also turning a blind eye to other atrocities happening across the globe. We need to learn about them. We need to be hyper aware of them. And we need to also just have those conversations of like, hey, this is what's happening. Let's talk about it. So I will be reposting folks who are much more educated about the historical context and what's happening right now. And I urge folks to watch those videos as well. Because the more we know, the more we'll be able to speak out and speak up for the people who may not have a voice right now. Palestinian liberation is, Sikh liberation, it's Black liberation, it's queer liberation. We have to be thinking about the fact that, like, our support must always extend to any people who are being oppressed for simply existing and for simply just being where they are. No sort of oppression should ever be condoned, and our silence is complicit in that. So while we may not know what's happening, we do need to educate ourselves, and then when we have gotten those tools, we need to make sure we share and also talk to others about it and figure out how we support best those people.
We need to talk about what's going on in Congo right now, something people have started to call the silent genocide.
You might ask why I'm crying, because nobody has said anything about what's happening in Congo, and she's the first person that I see, somebody who's not from there, who spoke about what's happening in Congo. Like, I'm Congolese, and what's happening there is like super sad, and it's really super annoying that nobody is speaking on it, because people are dying. Millions of people are dying in Congo right now. Babies, women being raped. This is an educational video. So, to see somebody speak on what's happening there, I don't know, it just, it makes me happy that we are actually getting noticed to, free Palestine. But it's not just Palestine that are going through whatever is happening, Congo, too, is going through the same thing, genocide.
We need to talk about what's going on in Congo right now, something people have started to call the silent genocide.
You might ask why I'm crying, because nobody has said anything about what's happening in Congo, and she's the first person that I see, somebody who's not from there, who spoke about what's happening in Congo.
I've been asked to talk about this and share information about what is going on in Congo, and I will make more videos. I hear you, I see you, I'm so sorry I haven't been talking about this before. And especially because I was actually born in Congo, in Kinshasa, and my mom and I moved in Belgium when I was 3 years old. So I was raised in Belgium, and I didn't learn much about my home country and the culture and the history and everything that is happening. So I'm catching on a lot of history, just like with Palestine, and I promise I will be talking about it. If you have any information or resources about what is currently happening or what happened in Congo, please message me on Instagram or here on TikTok. I would highly appreciate it.
Guys, there's so much evil going on in the world, right now as we're speaking. There's 2 additional genocides that I had no knowledge of. It is not being talked about. It is not being covered. And it's in Sudan and the Congo. In Sudan, about 9,000 people have been murdered. 9,000. Men, women, babies. 12,000 people have been injured. And this is a genocide as well. This is a genocide. In the Congo, 6 million people have been murdered. What is going on? They're saying the Congolese conflict is the bloodiest, worse than World War II. And we have no knowledge of it. And I don't want to Google search a lot, because we know how propaganda is, right? So I'm relying on TikToks that I've been coming across talking about it, hoping that it's accurate information, because I myself don't know much about what's going on over there. But from the research that I've done, with the Congo, it's their minerals. Everything that's in our phones, our tablets, something with electric cars, the cobalt, the minerals, people are being murdered over that.
try to do your research. I'm going to try to do my research and spread this information as well, because yes, what's happening in Palestine is disgusting, devastating, hurtful, but we have to spread awareness. We have to spread the prayers. So include the Sudanese people and the Congolese people in your prayers along with the Palestinians. And I'm going to insert this video I found from a resourceful website, Al Jazeera. Listen.
All the men who are in the church, you pretend to be displaced persons, but you are the rebels who shot at us. So they took all the men back to a banana plantation, and they said, sit here and put your feet in the hole, stand in a circle around the hole, and they started shooting them, and they started killing the others next to them when the first hole was already filled. That's what happened. We were surprised. There is no one but God who can help us.
You heard his last words, and I want to point out that he's God conscious. In these difficult times, we need to remain steadfast in our religion and our faith, and know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has knowledge of everything. He's aware of everything, all the wrongdoers, all the oppressors, the transgressors. He's aware. And we have to remember that no bad deed will go unpunished. Again, I'm going to continue to do research to see what I can find, spread the word, offer dua, offer prayer, and
you're all complicit in one of the deadliest conflicts that history has ever seen. I'm going to explain why. Now, the Democratic Republic of Congo is one of the most mineral-rich countries in the entire world. However, it's one of the most economically deprived. Key mineral which is sourced here is coltan, which is used to power technology. If you have a phone, coltan's in it. A car, coltan. There's not a lot you can do without coltan. Now, while this should make Congo one of the richest countries in the world, it's not, because the industry here has been exploited by Western countries and neighbours such as Rwanda. Now, an estimated $1 million is lost every year due to smuggling from Rwanda. Rwanda backs an organisation called the M23, which has been responsible for the deaths of millions of Congolese people. The Rwandan army has deployed troops all over eastern Congo to help strengthen these M23 rebels and increase their hold over the coltan-producing regions in Congo. Now, considering this is one of the deadliest conflicts in history, there is a startling lack of information online. Why? Because the West largely helps to fund these. They collaborate with the Rwandan government, and they also send weapons to rebel forces in Congo. This is because if they keep the country unstable, they keep military insurgency going, the country is weakened, and a weakened country can be exploited. A united country can't. Now, in the past 100 years, Congo has seen the biggest loss of life in the world, and no one is talking about it. Now, I won't be able to explain everything that's been happening in the country in 100 years in one video, so this will be a series, but I thought, let me start from the top with Western colonization. Now, in 1885, King Leopold of Belgium literally just seized the country as his personal possession. Now, while other European countries were turning Africa into their colonies, he took Congo as a personal region. Now, backed with money given by the Belgian government, King Leopold said that he was going to bring civilization to Congo. Now, for reference, Congo is the largest country in what they call sub-Saharan Africa. It's about the size of the entirety of Western Europe. Now, the atrocities in Congo were so bad that other European governments were literally disgusted. And in 1908, due to pressure from other European governments, King Leopold turned over the colony to the government of Belgium. But during these years, torture was rife. If people didn't meet their work quotas, they would literally have a hand or foot amputated. And Belgium is now famous for selling chocolate hands. Where do you think that idea came from? An estimated 15 million people died during King Leopold's rule over Congo. It's considered one of the biggest mass genocides in history.
Since this post went viral, many of you have asked what is actually going on in Sudan. The headline is, on one side, you have the people of Sudan who want freedom, and on the other, you have military generals. Generals who are only interested in power, but the international community supported them. It's a 1-minute rundown on how we got here. In 2019, the Sudanese people overthrew the dictator, Omar al-Bashir, that had been in power for like 30 years. What came next was a transitional council, which was part civilian, part military. And the point was it was a transition to a civilian-led government, or a civilian government, which is what the people wanted. 2 years in, at the point when the military was meant to hand over to the civilians, the military overthrew the transitional council, which is essentially a coup. That was October 2021. At this point, the international community made a choice. They made a choice to deal with the military generals, Hemeti and Burhan, rather than listen to the civilians who were like, don't trust these guys, they're genocidal, don't do it. Hemeti and Burhan were working together against the Sudanese people. But once it came to them two being in power, they started fighting each other for the ultimate seat at the top. And that's what happened on April the 15th, 2023. They decided to start fighting each other, and the Sudanese people were caught in the middle. Tens of thousands have been killed.
So this is all I got from this video, and you know, man, this is really very hard to talk about, because what is going in Congo and in Sudan, it's quite very terrible. Why? Because the Westerners already took over. Number one is that, how do you talk about a country that is blessed with human resources? I mean, Congo is all blessed. I mean, they have lots of gold and all that. But the Westerners, the colonial masters, do not want to let them be, do not want to leave them alone. And I keep saying this, not until some African countries learn to stand up for themselves, learn to say no, learn to say, you cannot come into my country and take away my resources and leave us going hungry. Because most of these countries are truly going hungry, but they are still stealing from them. Like, I remember a video a woman made. She said, since we met you all, what have we done? Or where have we been? I mean, it is still the same thing, the same stories. You all keep stealing from us. Are we talking about the gold? Are we talking about the Uranus? Are we talking about they continuously keep stealing from their country and rendering them useless? Can you imagine a country that is blessed with human resources? They are truly blessed. Gold. That is where you are going to find the bestest, if there is anything like that. But the Western world are not letting them breathe. All they do is fly in, take away the resources, and fly out. And the people are perishing. There is war. There is, I mean, so many horrible things going on in that country. And then I actually took my time to find out what is going on, and that I found out that some of them actually have been posting about this genocide going on in Congo. But the problem is that it was broadcasted, or it's being broadcasted in French, if it is not French or their language, which made it even harder for people to see or to key into free Congo and Sudan and all that. And I am saying, when are they? You see, oppressors, they have something in common. They all have something in common. And they know where they are supposed to go to get the very best. And they go there. Children are dying. Young are dying. And if you see the people mining this gold for them, not even for them, I mean, it is so heartbreaking that a country that is blessed with lots of gold, they keep mining, and they are mining for the Westerners. I am sorry to say this, but United States is just, I don't know how to put this, but it's quite unfortunate that we wake up, I mean, these people wake up to this. I don't know, really. I don't know. But all we can do is to render our voices and show them the support also that we are also showing Palestine. Because as it stands, I mean, you can imagine almost how many million people have already died from this. And the people that are mining this gold, most of them are not qualified to mining. Most of them are just mining it in order to get something to eat. I mean, the gold they are also mining that they are flying to come and pack and move away. The people mining it are probably not making in a day more than 1 cent or maybe $1 just to eat, just to feed. And they are laboring for the Westerners. They are laboring for their labor is for the oppressor. The people that are oppressing them, they are working for them. And this really hurts my soul. But then, what am I saying? African countries, you all have to stand up. If you don't do it, nobody's going to do it for you. You don't leave your people. You don't let our people be dying. Because you are for the Westerners. Because you are for the Western. I mean, I am just sick and tired of all this. We have to wake up for ourselves. We have to fight for ourselves. If we don't fight for ourselves, nobody will fight for you. You all already know this. And I am happy for how Niger, how they stood up for themselves, because France already been killing them, been eating from them, been sucking their blood. Because that is what it is. They are leeches. They come and leech from the very best, render your country useless. Congo is poor. How can you be blessed with all the resources, but you are not enjoying it? You are not, the people of the country are not enjoying it. It is people, the Western world, that fly in, carry the gold and all that, boom, and your people are dying. Damn, this is unfair. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.